Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Malcolm on Money, where we decode some of the more complex financial topics folks tend to run into in an attempt to simplify it and make it as plain as possible. Today we're going to be digging into the things you should consider prior to accepting an early retirement offer from your employer and signing on that dotted line. Right now, at this very moment, a growing number of employers are offering some of their more tenured workers large lump sum payments to turn in their key cards and credentials and retire early, especially for those who work in fields like tech or maybe finance, where companies are currently trying to reduce headcount as a way to show Wall Street they mean business when it comes to controlling costs and exercising some fiscal discipline. An early retirement offer typically includes a few months' salary. I've seen anywhere from about 6 months to as many as 24. They also offer extended health insurance coverage and accelerated vesting on any 401k, stock, or pension-related payouts they owe you. These offers can sometimes be customized for individual employees, but in most cases, buyout offers are uniform and extend to an entire organization or unit, a particular department, or to any employee who's fulfilled a minimum length of service. And early requirement packages often target people with seniority, which also happens to be the group that earns the highest salaries and has the highest healthcare costs. For those who are not already planning on retiring or actively searching for a new job, receiving a buyout offer might create some serious anxiety, but not for no reason. You have to weigh a number of factors before deciding whether to accept an early retirement package. It may or may not be the right move for your personal financial situation. And if you're married, it's also important to consider how your decision will affect your spouse and any benefits they would be entitled to if you were to predecease them someday. These are complex decisions with real and lasting consequences, so it's not a decision to be made hastily. With regard to your retirement savings, an early out presents you with the decision of rolling your 401k account into an IRA, how and when to begin receiving your pension benefit if you have one, and what to do with those restricted stock units or incentive stock options you've accumulated along the way. And then there's Social Security. If you're younger than your full Social Security retirement age of either 66 or 67, depending on when you were born, have you considered how you'll close that gap? And if your thought is that you'll just sign up for Social Security early, have you at least calculated how much your lifetime benefit would be reduced as a result of starting early? You'll also need to determine what to do for healthcare if you're younger than 65 and don't qualify for Medicare just yet. Making a decision like this also requires some advanced planning around taxes. You'll need to calculate your anticipated income tax payments the year you retire, since severance pay is typically provided as a lump sum and might push you into a higher tax bracket. They may also have options available to defer some of that income and reduce the tax bite, so it's important to consult your tax professional prior to making a final decision, as well as talking to your company before signing on that dotted line. While an offer to retire early may initially feel like a burden, it could potentially free you up to pursue something you've always wanted to do, but can never seem to find the time. Rather than shy away from the decision, lean in, put pen to paper, and decide whether you're in a strong enough financial position to do so. The first step is to read the details thoroughly and be sure that you understand what's on the table. And since there's often a reasonable window of time to act, don't feel pressured to decide immediately. In fact, under federal law, employees older than 40 who are offered an early retirement package have up to 45 days to consider and respond, plus an additional 7 days after signing to change their mind and rescind the contract. Deciding whether to reject the offer and remain employed or to accept it and leave can be a complicated decision, often fraught with several emotions. And unfortunately, not everyone has saved enough money to avoid a dip in their standard of living if they opt to retire early. And even workers who've saved a substantial nest egg for retirement could make hasty decisions that eventually cause them to run short of money. But in some other instances, individuals find that they're in a better financial position than they gave themselves credit for. It's only possible to know where you sit once you've taken the important step of writing out a list of your fixed and variable expenses, and then go line by line and assess whether you expect each expense to continue into retirement or to drop off once you're no longer actively employed. So take inventory and figure out how much of your monthly income in retirement will come from fixed, predictable sources such as pensions and Social Security, and the difference between those fixed income sources. Your variable expenses will also indicate the amount you need to replace each month on top of that, either by distributions from your savings, part-time work, or maybe even a combination of both. Before we wrap, I want to double click on that point about Social Security, because I think this one gets overlooked way too often. And folks who accept early retirement offers tell me that in hindsight, they wish they would have given this one more consideration. So according to numerous studies, Social Security is the largest source of income during retirement for most retirees. No surprise there. But this is also why it's so critically important to have a plan for when you'll begin to collect your Social Security retirement benefits. I mentioned that the Social Security Administration's full retirement age is now 67, and with advances in medicine and technology, we're living longer than generations before us. In fact, according to the SSA's website, the average life expectancy for a man or woman who's 65 years old today is 83 and 86 years old, respectively. Also, when you're reviewing your statement of estimated benefits from the SSA, you have to keep in mind that their forecast assumes that you'll keep on earning your current salary until you reach that full retirement age. It doesn't account for what happens if you stop working and contributing to the federal trust fund a few years early. So in this scenario, there's a chance you're better off delaying that application for benefits and living off your savings for a few years, or taking up part-time work in order to maximize those Social Security checks once they start. Lastly, if you haven't already, it's important to think about how you would occupy your time if retirement started tomorrow. Would you travel, play golf, volunteer, be a consultant, or absolutely nothing at all? If the answer or the lack thereof intimidates you for reasons that are not financial, it may be reasonable to assume that you're not actually ready to accept that early retirement offer after all. All right, folks, that's it for today's episode. Hopefully you learned something new and feel compelled to like or subscribe or whatever else you're supposed to do on here. But more importantly, I hope you found this information valuable enough to share it with someone else you know. And if you'd like to receive more content like this directly to your inbox every week, then be sure to sign up for the Malcolm on Money newsletter at the address in the show notes below. And if you'd like to send us any comments or concerns or kudos, feel free to shoot us an email at hello@malcolmethridge.com. Thanks very much for watching.